Jai Ho, my dear students. I am Ratnakar Suryavanshi from SK Public School. Till the last class, we have learned why do we need a constitution, right? Why does a country require a constitution? About this concept we have completed till the last class, right? Today we are going to take another topic in the Indian Constitution, that is the key features. The key features of the Indian Constitution. So about these we will learn today. See, my dear students, as you know that the freedom fight or the national movement was very active in the 19th century also, right? It was started right from the 18th century, right? Even in the 18th century also various reformers tried. They created awareness about the freedom struggle, about the nationalism, about the liberty or freedom. And then in the 19th century, as I told you that in the 19th century, the freedom movement became very active, especially in 20th century, it was much active because of the involvement of the great leaders or the reformers in the fight. And then see, as I told you that the freedom movement or the national movement was very active in the 20th century also because of the involvement of various leaders against the British for independence, right? And see, under the colonial rule, under the British rule, Indians had very little role in the decision making system or in the government system. Indians had very little role in the decision making system of the British government. And even see, at that time only, Indians got one idea or Indians experienced one thing that India, after independence, India should be a democratic country. India should be a democratic country. This thought emerged during the time of British rule in India. Why? Because British did not give chance to Indians to be the part of government, to be the part of administrative system of the government. Because of that, Indians thought that India should be a democratic country after independence. And the knowledge they had being or having a little role in the administrative system of the government, the same knowledge, that bit of knowledge they used to create India as a democratic country after independence. And then as you know that more than 300 people, almost 300 people joined. They made a constituent assembly. They became the members of the constituent assembly. They met together in 1946. When in 1946, in the month of December actually, for the first time, almost 300 members of the Constituent Assembly. Then the discussions were continued till almost 1949. Discussions were continued almost 3 years, 1946 to 1949. So, which means to write the Constitution of India correctly, exactly 2 years. 2 years, 11 months. 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. And 18 days of time has been taken by the writers of the Constitution to prepare, to draft one fine Constitution for India. What is the period taken to draft the Indian Constitution? 2 years, 11 months and 18 days of time had been taken to draft the Constitution for India by the India's Constitution Assembly. So, see, it is one point, right? See, the members of the Constituent Assembly they had a huge task. They had a challenging task in front of them, before them. What was that challenging task? See, the country was made up of several religions, several castes, several backgrounds, several distinct cultures were there, as well as communities are different. This type of various diversities were there in India, are there in India, right? As because of this, India is a diversified. India is a country where we find diversity, right? So huge diversity is there in our country. This is one point. And at the time of when the constitution was being written, at that time India was in turmoil. India was in complete violence, Ashanti. Why India was in complete turmoil or violence at that time? Because of the partition of India into two countries, India and Pakistan. As you all know that Pakistan got freedom, became an independent country, departing from India on 14th August, same 1947. Very next day, India became an independent country from the British rule. Right? So when India was dividing into two countries, at that time India was in complete turmoil, violence. This is what the second challenge. First one diversity, second one violence party because of the partition. This is the second one. And see, these are the two important measures here. And even say some of the princely states also. In India, some of the princely states also, they did not want to join India. And some princely states wanted to join Pakistan, some princely states wanted to be independent, remain independent. This is the third challenge, task. And even here, socio-economic conditions of the people also was the major problem, major challenge at that time. What was the social background? What was the economic condition of the people? Vast mass of the people. This is also a major challenge at that time. And see, here, because of this, there were various problems further. And the writers of the constitution they written a document which would respect or which would reflect as respecting for maintaining diversity while preserving the unity of the country. Our constitutional writers, our writers of the constitution had kept in their mind that diversity of India has to be maintained within the framework of unity. India should be unity, there should be unity in the country, but diversity also has to be preserved, has to be fostered. So both diversity, unity, both have been taken in the care, taken in the consideration while writing the constitution. And say the final document also reflects their concern, our writers, our constitution writers' concern for eradicating poverty through socio-economic reforms, as well as emphasizing the crucial role of the people can play in choosing their representatives. People also can play a very important role in choosing their representatives. So in this way, our writers of the constitution have faced various challenges. Even they took our poverty problem also as a challenge to eradicate that poverty problem, socio-economic conditions, socio-economic problems. For that also they took a major decision in this. They wrote about this also. Even they wrote that people should have a role, people should participate in the choosing of their representatives. Representatives must be chosen by the common people, citizens. So this point is also added in that. Why? Because to maintain equality. So this is what the challenge. These are the challenges faced by the writers of the Constitution of India. Then now we will continue the key features. See, the first key feature of the Indian Constitution. The first key feature of the Indian Constitution is federalism. What is federalism? Federalism means what? Commonly, existence of more than one level of the government in the country is called federalism. Right? In India, we can find more than one level of the government, obviously. Correct? See, at present in India, we can find three levels of the government. At the top, central government is there, then state, and then local self-government. So these are the three tiers of the government we can find here, right? Central government, state government, and third one is Panchayat Raj system also we call it. It is the third tier of the government. So in this type, power have been shared, power have been distributed among the various levels of the government in the country. The vast number of the communities in India meant that a system of government needed to be divided and did not involve only persons sitting in the capital city of New Delhi and making decisions about the local people. What happens? See, India has diversified communities. India had various problems also, right? So that's why there was a requirement of a system that decisions about the local level should not be taken and sitting in the capital city of New Delhi and taking decisions about the local people somewhere at the corner of the country living or existing. So to avoid taking decision at Delhi and implementing in one village, to avoid this, what happened? Third tier of the government have been evolved or brought into the existence. That third tier of the government is Panchayati Raj system. It is the local self-government we call. So there are three levels of the government, three tiers of the government: central government, state government, and local self-government. Local self-government is called as Panchayati Raj system. So this is what commonly we call federalism. I repeat the definition of federalism: existence of more than one level of the government in the country. Existence of more than one level of the government in the country is called federalism. In India, each state enjoys autonomy in exercising powers on certain issues or on certain subjects, which means the powers have been divided. See, just for example, Union government has its own powers, as well as state government also has its own powers, and in the same way, even Panchayati Raj system also has its own powers, right? Why it is? See, the entire country, we have one government, that is Union government, correct? No? The issues related to the whole nation or the unity of the nation, defense of the nation, all are there with the Union government. All those issues are there with the Union government, and taking decisions about those issues, about those subjects also, that power is there with the central government. State government has power to take care of one particular area, one particular state, right? And state government also has its own powers. It enjoys its own autonomy. And Panchayati Raj system also has its own power at the local level. In this way, power has been divided, distributed among the three tiers of the government. So this is the major factor. This is the main key feature of the Indian Constitution. That is first one, as I told you, that federalism. This is the first key feature of the Indian Constitution. And see, the Constitution contains list of details about the issues that each tier of the government can make laws on it. I mean, the legislative powers have been divided into three lists between state and central government, between two governments. Legislative powers have been divided into three lists. How many lists? Into three lists in between state government and central or union government. Which are those three lists? Same. Indian list is there. We have union list, we have state list, and we have concurrent list. These are the three lists we have, right? Union list means the subjects which are related to the whole nation, national unity. For example, banking, currency, communication system, as well as national defense. All these issues are there in the list, in the union list. And then state list means police, Police system is there in the state list, as well as this type of various subjects are included in the state list. Concurrent list means what? The subjects on which both the government can take decisions. The subjects on which both the governments can take decisions, can make laws, those subjects are called as concurrent list subjects. For example, education. Which one? Education. Education is there in the concurrent list. So, on the education, both the government, state government as well as union government can make laws. And the subjects which are there in union list, on those subjects, for example, agriculture. The subjects which are there in union list, on those subjects only union government can take decisions. For example, defense. For example, what? Defense, national defense. So only Indian government can take decisions on those subjects. And the subjects which are there with state list, forest is there. Forest. The subjects which are there in state list, only state government can make laws on those issues, can take decisions. So these are the three lists. So among these three lists, all the legislative powers are divided between union government and state government. These are shortly, these lists are called as three lists in India. And see, here under federalism, the state aren't merely the agents of the federal government, but draw their authority from the constitution as well. I mean, here in the federal countries, states are almost independent from the control of central government. State governments are almost independent from the control of the central government. They are not subordinate, they are not completely subordinate to the central government. So why they are not completely subordinate to the central government? Because they have powers which are given by the constitution, And see, persons in India are governed by laws and policies made by each levels of the government. I mean, we are the people of Karnataka, but also we are the people, we are the citizens of India. We have to follow the laws which are formed by the state government as well as the laws which are formed by the central government. And both the government, central government is also responsible to the people, state government is also responsible to the people separately. And we have to follow the laws which are prepared or which are made by each levels of government. So this is about the first key feature of the Indian Constitution, that is federalism. And in the next class, we will continue learning about the key features of the Indian Constitution. Second one, we will learn the parliamentary form of the government. Then we will learn about separation of powers. And about these both, we will learn in the next class. Thank you. Jai Hind.